Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And yesterday we went over the cards that are going to rotate from wild or to wild, being from Ashes of Outland, Scholomance Academy, as well as the Darkmoon Faire. We went over what I'm going to miss the most, what brought a tear to my eye thinking about I won't be able to play, but I play wild, so I'll be able to play it all. But still, it's fun playing standard, right? Playing standard, more balanced meta, right? But today we are going to talk about the cards I absolutely loathe, the ones that made me yell Blizzard more than any other cards out there. I can't wait to see them go, but I will have to suffer with them in wild. And if you missed yesterday's video, by the way, make sure to hit that sub button. Like 61% of these other people, it's crazy. That's like the highest number I swear I've seen for a channel. You guys are ridiculous. Let's get that sub count moving up. If you feel like I've earned your sub, I would appreciate it regardless. Let's go into the top 10 cards I absolutely cannot wait to see leave the standard format. So, starting off at number 10, we have a card I thought would get nerfed at some point, never did, and I've talked a lot about Druid on the last list. Let's start with Druid on this list. Arbor Up, 5-mana spell, give your minions +2 attack, +1 health, summon 2/2 treants. It was just, this card's ridiculous, even by itself. You're getting what? It's a good stat bomb by itself, but you pair it with Solar Eclipse, it's busted. You pair it with any board of minions, it's a broken card and you're dead to Arbor Up so often. I just thought it should be 6. For whatever reason, I always thought it should be 6, and it always annoyed me that I was always dead to Arbor Up on so many situations, but I guess it was better to be, always being dead to Savage Roar back in the day. That was 3 mana, so a little lower on my list. I played some Arbor Up decks, of course, and all of that, but I just thought it was too good, and I won't be missing the fact that I'm just always dead to that stupid spell. At number 9, I'm going to go with the Scholomance Academy card, Animated Broomstick. This card I swore was going to get nerfed at some point, of giving your minions adjacent minions rush. It never happened. This 1-mana card, Power Crept on Houndmaster Shaw, a Hunter Legendary, so freaking hard, and it could invalidate your board so easily. Like, you're way ahead on board. Oh, my opponent cheated some 0-mana minions and played a broom, and everything's gone, and I'm dead. And it was very, very frustrating how, if you've ever been to my stream, I would always say everything has rush, because it would just negate everything I had done. And yeah, I just wish it was a card that I felt like it should have got changed at some point. Again, not broken, not completely the most infuriating card in the world, but good enough to be on my list at number 9, sorry. At number 8, we have a dual class card for Mage and Shaman, which also means it's a rogue card, and that's Devolving Missiles. 1 mana, shoot 3 missiles, and it basically makes your minion into a random one of 1 less after that. I like, you hear me talk about how much I love Rattlegore last video. Well, this card takes your Rattlegore and changes it into some piece of crap. Or, you built this really cool buffed minion and it's gone for 1 mana, and they might not even run it. Might get it from a wand maker, like I said, a wand thief. Just one of those cards that I felt was too cheap, too efficient at negating my cool strategies, and stop doing that. It sucks. we Hall of Fame silence effects and all these things, and then we make Devolving Missiles, and it triggered me. And you get it even off of like a Instructor Fireheart, right? Like, there's so many ways you don't even run this card, you are going to get it and just piss off my really cool greedy board that I don't want punished. At number 7, I'm gonna go with a card that just enabled so many broken weapon strategies that found very frustrating, and that's Cutting Class, the Rogue Warrior dual class card. It's 5 mana, draw 2, but it costs 1 less for every attack on your weapon, and allows Weapon Rogue to draw for 0 all the time. Bomb Warrior, when that was a thing, it also did the same thing, and I just find weapon decks in period to be very frustrating, very uninteractive, just not a good Hearthstone experience. I don't enjoy them, and Cutting Class was a huge enabler of that strategy. I'm glad Weapon Rogue will be losing that, because I really dislike Weapon Rogue. I might actually make a video on weapon decks in general and just how I feel like they're the opposite of what we've been told is, what Hearthstone should be about. But Cutting Class, again, one of those big enablers, and just a card I will not miss. Card draw should cost mana, and Cutting Class broke that rule way too often. At number 6, this is not just one card, this is a bunch of cards. We have the study cards, which I think from Scholomance Academy, as well as the Demon Hunter one was in the Darkmoon Faire mini set. Yeah, so you have like the dragon one for priest, you have the spell damage one for mage and shaman, you have, you know, all those different study cards. And I felt for me, Discover should come at a cost, a little bit of a cost, but these cards literally were just free Discover because you discovered a card, whatever it was, whatever the study card was for, but it costs one less, effectively making it free. Plus, you could store that mana and play like a Skull of Gul'dan on turn 4, coin it out, or even if you play 2 study cards, play Skull for 4. I felt like it made Discover too cheap, too flexible, as well as the pools were too narrow for certain things where it just felt frustrating, and study cards just didn't really come at a downside and have been auto run in so many different decks since they've been in the game. Like, they're just busted, and I felt like they were just too frustrating for me for the most part, where you all of a sudden you can't play around a lot of stuff because they could just study into something that they might not necessarily run, like study into a glide and disrupt your combo, or study into a Solarian Prime and get more primes and beat you with a random. It could be a frustrating experience, and as fun as it could be to play it sometimes, I just feel like I'm not going to miss them very much. At number 5, we have another dual class card here for Shaman and Druid, and that's Lightning Bloom. 0 mana spell, gain 2 mana crystals this turn, overload 2. I have to put this on my list because Innervate is one of my most hated cards of all time. Pre-nerf Innervate, and Lightning Bloom was just that. It was just that, except you would overload after. But how many games have you lost to this card where they did something absurd and then you can't possibly answer it and you lose the game? It doesn't matter that they overload. Or in the case of a Quest Shaman or a Shaman that runs, you know, 1 mana burn your face, get rid of overload, the downside was actually an upside. So I just feel like this type of mana cheating, bad in the game. I've never enjoyed it. I am running it. I've played it, but you know, it's just because it's so powerful. Why would you not? And it's just one of those cards I just feel like should never been made. I don't like pre-nerf Innervate. It was nerfed for a reason, and to reintroduce it with overload to me was just kind of egregious, and I was never a fan of it and certainly won't miss it. At number 4, this is a bunch of cards, not just one, but this is the Paladin archetype of Librams. I actually kind of enjoyed playing Libra Paladin. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the most frustrating thing to play or face. It's just, we have seen Libra Paladin for like 2 years straight, right? Like, it's been outside of the first expansion where it wasn't good enough, and then they buffed it, and then they got a bunch of support. It's since basically Scholomance Academy, Libra Paladin has been tier 1 or tier 2. And I'm ready to see something else from Paladin, right? Like, we had hand buff Paladin, we had like that cheese Paladin for a little bit, but other than that, it's been Libra Paladin, and I'm looking forward to seeing something else. I'll probably miss it after like a little bit, honestly, because again, I don't hate it. There's nothing I hate about it. I'm just kind of bored of it. And I faced it so many freaking times that I won't miss Librams. That is what it is. I honestly don't hate it. Like a lot of you, I'm just sick of 0 mana Libram Wisdoms coming down my face all the time. At number 3 is a card I just freaking hate it. It's probably gonna get nerfed again, or a good chance of it. It started at 2, it's at 3, maybe it goes to 4 or 5, I don't know. But that's Enchanters Flow, the mage spell that makes your spells in deck cost 1 less. This card's absurd. This card has been absurd. It's enabled how many stupid uninteractive strategies? When it was introduced into the game in Ashes of Outland, it was okay. It wasn't a great card because all the spells that mages were getting were like kind of big spells, big payoff. Yeah, like getting water elementals, or you had getting 2 6-drops, or you would have the Apexis Blast. So you played this to make those a little bit more flexible. But then as the year went on, the spells got cheaper and cheaper and arguably more and more powerful, so you got to the point of cards like Ignite, where it just became absolutely absurd, or Refreshing Spring Water, where the mana cheat it just got out of control, where you could abuse it. Honestly, this is a true story. In one of my first videos ever, period, on the channel, like my first month, what I had that got popular was Ashes of Outland Spell Mage when Demon Hunter was out of control. I made a video on it. I got Asmodai to play the deck. We loved it. We contemplating cutting Enchanters Flow because it wasn't that impactful from the deck. Like, the mana cheat wasn't that effective, but a year plus later, the card became broken. So it's kind of interesting that I can't wait for Enchanters Flow to leave, but when it started, it really wasn't that busted. It was debatable whether you should run it in the oldest of spell mages, but now, good lord, I cannot wait for that card to go. Or maybe they should just stop printing such cheap broken spells. That would also help. At number 2, we have, I gotta put a Demon Hunter card on the list, right? I've had so many Demon Hunter rants from the Ashes of Outland day, and what better card to put on the list than Skull of Gul'dan, originally 5 mana, now 6 mana, draw 3 cards, outcast, they cost 3 less. Just broken. This card was so broken for so long. It wasn't until like the Demon Hunter quest came out that it finally got power crept, but it's still running plenty of decks to this day. And I don't know, mana cheat plus cheap card draw has always been an issue. It's not the cheapest of card draw, but the mana cheat was insane. And where your opponent just played Skull into a miracle bullshit comeback, very frustrating experience, especially when Altruis was in the game and then you comboed it and you just died to like everything. Very frustrating. I won't miss it, and I'm excited to see what other Demon Hunter decks would look like without Skull of Gul'dan, although we saw that with the quest, and yeah, I don't know if I like that so much, but regardless, I'm not gonna miss Skull. And before I get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. We got Trampling Rhino, stop hitting me in the face. Mana Biscuit, again, too much mana cheat. Oh My Yogg drove me absolutely crazy. Why is this not on the top 10? I have no idea why. Palm Reading, absurd mana cheat for Priest, but I've hated on Priest too much. I can't put it on a list. People will get mad at me at this point. Cloak of Shadows, it's just super non-interactive, not fun, but hasn't been super prevalent in Standard until recently. And Raise Dead, just thought was ridiculous cheap draw for Warlock and Priest and giving self-damage effects and all that. But let's go with my number 1, a card that I cannot believe was only nerfed once. It's made Rogue just busted I don't know how many times. Secret Passage. Why can you draw 4 cards for 1 mana, or now with the new tradable weapon for 0 mana all the time? It has enabled every broken Rogue deck since it's been put into the game since Scholomance. Every Rogue deck that has been competitive runs Secret Passage, and to me, that's just a sign of bad, overpowered design. If a card is auto-included in everything, it's a little too good in my opinion. You can make the same argument for Overgrowth, which is also leaving, but I'm Druid biased, so it's not on the list. But Secret Passage, well, actually, you don't run it in aggro, right? Like this you run in aggro, this you run in a combo deck, this you run in absolutely every Rogue deck. Name a Rogue deck that doesn't run Secret Passage that's been tier 1, tier 2 since it's been introduced. It just doesn't exist. The card is overpowered for the sake of being overpowered and giving Rogue an absolutely broken tool, and I honestly can't think of a card that fits that criteria for any class. None of them on this list exist. These are cards that are only in certain archetypes for a class. Secret Passage literally in every Rogue deck humanly possible, and it just pissed me off that it was so good for so long, never got changed outside of the fact that it used to draw 5 and 1 mana sprint, not okay. They even buffed sprint from 7 to 6 while Secret Passage existed. How ridiculous is that? So there you go, that's my list. Let me know what you agree with, what you hated the most, what you can't wait to see leave. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.